everyone, and welcome to today's special Behind the Music panel. My name is Marissa Hill, and I am the executive producer of Shade TV and Shade Studios, and I'm so excited to speak with some extremely talented creatives in music today. So please join me in welcoming them to the virtual stage. Starting with songwriter, singer, executive producer Bettina Bush. Welcome, Bettina. Next up, we have the duo behind MUNNYCAT, Katianne Timko, Katianne. And then we have creators of Why Am I So Single, Toby Marlowe and Lucy Moss.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome in. And last but not least, we have composer of Epcot's test track, Zain Effendi.
Hello. Hi, guys. I'm glad to be here today.
Welcome on in, everyone. I'm so ecstatic to jump right into this conversation. I would love to start out with having each of you talk about your projects that you have up for Grammy contention. And why don't we start with Bettina?
My project is called Once Upon a Rainbow, and it is up in the Best Children's Music category, Best Children's Music Album. It's a full circle moment for me. I've grown up in children's entertainment and voicing some of the most iconic cartoon characters, Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, Rugrats, Madagascar, all the things, and singing for them and singing children's albums. So it's really exciting to have my own children's album out for contention. So
I love that. Thanks for sharing, Bettina. Zain, would love to have you go next.
Hey, guys. Nice to be here. I currently have a track from my new soundtrack for Walt Disney Records up for contention. It's the first track of the album, which is the soundtrack for a new ride at Walt Disney World's Epcot. And very excited about the project. I had such an amazing experience working with truly some of the most magnificent musicians on the planet. And my mixer, Frank Wolf, is a legend in his own right. And it's my maybe sixth project with Walt Disney Imagineering, but definitely my most ambitious. And currently it's the first track opening is up for contention in the category of best instrumental composition. So excited to be here today.
So cool, Zain. I love Epcot, by the way. Absolutely obsessed.
Same here.
Next up, let's jump into the duo MUNNYCAT, Katianne and Khaled.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, we are super excited because the album that we have in contention this year is Till Death We Do Art. We are very indie DIY people, and we are obsessed with making things, and we're obsessed with each other is what we always say. So every piece of the album, the graphic design, the audio, the mix.
We wrote them. We played all the instruments. We make our music videos. We do it all. Yeah.
And it's just all part of the expression press. So we're really, really excited. The two categories that we're in contention for are best album packaging, for the vinyl that I'm sure we'll get to talk about later, and also best engineering non-classical. We had it mastered at Abbey Road. We were the engineers on the record, but we also had Christian at Abbey Road, Christian Wright, help us with the mastering. And it's just
amazing.
We're so excited. Yeah. This is a very, very cool time to be a MUNNYCAT.
Wow, what a power duo. What don't you two do? My goodness.
We don't cut our own grass. Like, we can't do, we're not very handy.
We did do our own floors.
Yeah.
We did resurface our own floors, which I'm super proud of, but that's our most DIY stuff.
Don't ask me to change a light bulb.
So just mowing. No mowing for the two of you. That was like me in college. My roommates did the mowing for me as well. I didn't want to cut off a limb of myself. So.
No laundry.
No, we're
better safe than sorry.
Everything else that we didn't just say.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, MUNNYCAT.
Thank
Lucy
you.
and Toby, last but not least.
Hi.
So the project that we're here to talk about is the original West End cast recording of our show Why Am I So Single? And it's up for the Best Musical Theatre Album category. And Toves, how do you describe it?
Oh my God. It's so Why Am I Single? It's a big fancy musical about these two best friends who one evening decide to sit down on the sofa, order some pizza, get the Prosecco out the fridge, and once and for all figure out why they are indeed so chronically, tragically single.
And they also happen to be musical theatre writers who don't have anything important to write about for their big fancy musical they're
so
supposed to write.
They're kind of procrastinating by just like having a big conversation about about their dates that go wrong and ex-boyfriends and things, which obviously can never be a musical because who would want to go and see a musical about two people talking about their dating lives?
But then by the end, it's this sort of big celebration of platonic love, and it's kind of like a friendship love story, kind of given all of the treatment of the classic love stories. And it's just like it's just about friendship and
it's based on some people that we know.
Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim
Rice.
They
have this really great friendship, and so
we thought we'd write about it.
Yeah, we just wanted to write about their friendship.
My goodness, that sounds so much fun. I love the title too, Why Am I So Single? It's taking me back to some days as well. I think some can definitely relate on that one, but what a fun project. Congratulations to all of you. I'm going to try and sprinkle some luck out there. So you're going to win any type of award that comes your way. Just a little magic sprinkle. I hope you can feel it on you right now. Next up, I want to jump in with Katianne and Khaled. You printed your album on 3D vinyl, which is such a wild and innovative idea.
You tell her all.
How did you come up with the idea of turning the record itself into part of the actual art experience?
I feel like we're very extra people. He's actually getting out the record right now so we could show you. We're very over the top in general. Yeah, you couldn't tell. No. And we just thought that the challenge, if we're going to make an album, we want to turn every piece of this record into art, even the parts of the record that people don't usually care about. So there's this part of the vinyl record, and it's called the dead wax. It's called the dead wax because nobody cares about it, right?
It's dead.
It's dead. But you look through it, it's transparent, red and blue, and you can look through it with your eyes. And at Abbey Road, we made sure that Christian gave us plenty of room so that you can hold it up to your eyes like a pair of 3D glasses, essentially. And the album artwork is in 3D. So it felt like too fun of a challenge to ignore. We just had to kind of figure out, it took us years to figure out how to do this and to find the right pressing plant that could promise us that it would actually work. A lot of people said it wouldn't work.
And none of them actually promised it would work until, so when Kate first looked through it, she started to cry, and I was like, it worked.
That's a good cry, right?
And it was the it worked cry.
It works. It's very cool. So.
But we had to learn how to do old school stereoscopic, red and blue 3D. And it was just a really, really fun thing. And once the challenge was the gauntlet was thrown down, that we were going to basically make every part of this a new way to express ourselves, we had to get creative, and that's where it came in.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm a bit of a vinyl collector, so I may be a bit biased on this one. I'm looking at my records right now, but this is so cool. The 50-50 red and blue color combo is so unique. I think as a vinyl collector, one of the most exciting things is to hold something tangibly as well, which is really cool to have that be a part of, your project. And also just to have almost like a storytelling to it as well with the creation of it. We've added to your list of skills now. Your resume is on page 50, I think.
So sweet.
Which is really, really cool. But I really love the look of that vinyl record. It's really unique and different. Toby and Lucy, as co-creators, I would love to know what your process is for building on each other's ideas. How does your collaboration process work?
Oh my gosh.
That's a great question. Don't know. It's still figuring out all the time, I guess.
It constantly changes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were literally
Do you fight at all?
Yes.
Are you best of friends?
Very passive aggressively, and like, oh, do you think that because that sounds like something I suggested half an hour ago that you said no to, but maybe I'm getting them confused.
I must be wrong. I must be wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. Yeah, we could try it. So yeah, there's a lot of that, which is really fun energy to be
Really good
around.
fun.
But I feel like kind of like, yeah, what we were discussing earlier about that, actually, like kind of over the years, a lot of like the skills that like the other person had that we didn't have, we've kind of like, because we've been writing together for so long now, we've kind of like absorbed parts of each other's brains that were kind of like missing jigsaw pieces from our own one, which like it's like, which is really, really fun. But then also there is this like scary moment where like, you know, where we're like writing a song at the piano and she's like, oh, like what if the hook was like this, ba-da-ba, and I'll be like, oh my god, that's all I'm good for. That's all I'm good for. I'm useless. Lucy's rendered me redundant. So,
yeah, and then another time Toby were like, wait, hang on, but this structure's just not working. And I'm like, great, I'll just see myself out, shall I? Yeah, okay, amazing, have fun, live your life. But it is kind of, I mean, it's an interesting thing because what brought us together was this real shared sensibility, but also this different skill set. So it is just a constant renegotiation of going, now that we kind of have a very similar skill set, I mean, we still have separate skills as well, but like, it's sort of like always finding a new angle. And also, I think it changes as much as our friendship and our relationship changes. I think we're very, sort of we really prioritize our friendship and our like, you know, our like happiness as part of it all, which I think ultimately leads to better work. And I think it's kind of, we're sort of mid journey, so I don't know if we can really sort of answer like how it works because it always evolves. Yeah,
I feel like for this project, Why Am I So Single, because a lot of it also, like the bulk of it was written in lockdown where we were kind of like bubbling together for a lot of it, so we couldn't really like see other people, and we were writing this like very, spoiler alert, slightly autobiographical show about a friendship.
Sort of various traumas as well. Yeah. It'd be like, at the beginning you'd be really sensitive to the person's sort of like autobiographical story, and then like by the end it'd be like, okay, but the sort of trauma of this thing, I don't think it like breathes really well in the pre-chorus, like maybe we should maybe say yeah, and it just like becomes sort of like brutal.
Yeah. So there was a lot for this when we kind of like went very deep into the relationship in a very like, you know, unboundaried way in order to kind of like make what the show revealed itself that it like needed to be. And now, who knows what the next one will be.
Yeah.
I love that. You're the perfect duo. Zain and Bettina, I would love to hear from the two of you. Could you share a breakthrough moment that is creative or technical that may have changed the direction of your project?
A breakthrough or technical moment that changed everything. I think that with Once Upon a Rainbow, I knew I had a vision once I decided that this was going to be what I was going to do. I had a vision of it being an album with a message of inclusion and celebration of diversity and empowerment for kids. And I felt as though that was a really important message, and it's kind of been a through line in my life. And I really felt that as a parent and as a musical creator, diversity was really important for me to get that message across to kids that it should be celebrated. So I wanted to be musically diverse and cross genres. I wanted to be lyrically diverse. And I wanted to, and the image of the rainbow, you know, my whole career started with Rainbow Bright. So it, you know, it was kind of that Once Upon a Rainbow. It just lends itself to the celebration of inclusion and diversity. So when I decided to run with that, I think the breakthrough moment was that I called Automatic. Automatic is the producer and my collaborator in songwriting, and he and his wife, Ebony, are Sony ATV writers. And that really changed the whole ballgame, because having a collaborator who gets it, who 100% understands what you're going after, it literally created itself once we decided to join forces and do this together. It completely flowed out of us seamlessly, which, you know, we had worked together before, over 10 years ago on Cradle to the Grave, our past life hit. But on this, it turned into, you know, this melding of ideas and of ideologies, the way that we think and the way that we've parented and the way that we conduct ourselves in life. And, you know, we start the album out with this little interlude called Gratitude. And, you know, that's a practice that we both feel is so important with every project that we do. You start from a place of gratitude, you know, just that you're able to create and you're able to communicate everything that's flowing through you. And we wanted to pass it on to kids in a way that was palatable for them, that they'd understand. And so we put it into like a patty cake kind of thing. And you can hear the kids on the playground, playing with each other, but they're doing a rhyme about gratitude. And just from there, it went on to there are country undertones, there are hip hop undertones, there are island undertones, all this diversity. And that really, the breakthrough moment for that was really just making that phone call to Automatic and saying, "Hey, you want to do this?" And him saying yes.
Wow. I love the patty cake analogy. I haven't heard patty cake in so long. Taking me back.
Right?
I'm like, do I still know how to do it?
Children's music. That's right. Got to get back to the playground.
Exactly. And it just sounds like you had such a wonderful team to work with. It sounds like everything really just happened organically. And the whole key point with diversity just sounds so wonderfully integrated into this project. So I'm really, really excited for you, Bettina.
Thank you. And I was able to get my kids on the album too. So they each have their own song that they sing with me on. So
How
became a family affair.
cute.
It's super special. And also, I forgot to say that this album is also in contention for Best Album Art because my daughter designed the album cover. So she's up for contention as well.
Wow, Bettina, your kids are involved in this project as well. Talk about, going down memory lane, looking at old photos. They get to hear themselves and they're up for an award artwork-wise.
And
wow.
to be inspired to create themselves too.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that, Bettina. Zain, I would love to hear from you next.
Sure. I'm struggling with this question because really, for the span of 15 months when I was on the project, every day was like the most massive technical hurdle of my career. And once I would get over that hurdle, it was, Disney would throw another one at me. The score is 70 minutes and it's wall to wall orchestral symphonic music with progressive rock, with EDM. And one of the things that comes to mind as a really big technical challenge for me was how do I write 70 minutes of music that is constantly engaging. It's exciting, but it also is an emotional experience. And the reason I say that is because when you're writing music for a ride, you never know when someone's going to show up. They could show up halfway through the track or 3/4 of the way through the track. But at any given point, the music has to be amazing. And as amazing as it was 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago. And one of the biggest bodies of works of music that I wrote for the project was the exterior music that plays outside of the ride at Epcot as you're walking past, and so it's a 24-minute piece of music that loops throughout the day. And, how do you write 24 minutes of music is just a lot of music, I mean, if you think about the average song length, or just the average length of anything these days, things are short form. So, I really had to dive deep into exploring how music can constantly grow and evolve. I went back to people like Beethoven, who was able to take a small little motif, dun 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 dun, and turn it into one of the most prolific symphonies. He's taking this little motif and he's flipping it upside down and he's pulling it, outside in, and he's manipulating it in such creative and ingenious ways that it turns into this body of work that even to this day, it's one of the most famous symphonies ever written. But it's so simple. And I think as an artist, that's the biggest challenge, is going back to being simple and, and sticking to that and growing from that. So the technical challenge I overcame when I realized all I need is an amazing melody, an amazing motif. And once I found that motif, which took me, a lot of pulling out hair and smashing my head against the wall. And then eventually it arrived, probably from all the jarring of my brain cells. And then taking that motif and being able to spread it through not only the 24 minutes, but the queue as well, which is 40 minutes. And then of course the ride. That when I got that theme, I was like, all right, we're off to the races, So that was an exciting moment.
I don't envy you, Zain. My goodness, 24 minutes of keeping someone fully entertained. Is there just kind of, I guess, a moment too where you're kind of running through the music you've created and you're like, okay, the audience is going to be so bored in this moment. How can you tell when someone's going to kind of lose focus? Do you actually have focus groups in this process as well to kind of help you navigate through this?
Well, one of the highlights of working on something like this was Walt Disney Imagineering shipped me out to Orlando, and I spent a lot of time at the parks. I went to Hollywood Studios, I went to Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and of course Epcot, and I really spent time standing in lines and watching people and seeing how they reacted to the music and just experiencing it and like diving into my inner 6-year-old that went to Epcot, however many years ago, and what that felt like. And then when I got back to the studio, it was just a lot easier to be like, all right, I know what to do now, after spending so much time at the park.
Wow, boots on the ground, Zain. I feel so bad for you having to go to all these parks.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
Rough. Terrible. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Zain. I'd love to jump back with our two duos and get into talking about how important visuals, like the album art that you two talked about, Katianne and Khaled earlier, music videos, live production for Lucy and Toby. How does telling the story in that sense, in those different ways, affect the music?
I mean, for us, I feel like, well, we're just really visual people also. And for me personally, I feel like to be a pop star is my quest, right? But like the only reason it's fun is because I get to build all the things around it too. Like it wouldn't be as fulfilling if other people were doing it for me. You know what I mean? Like we want to make these songs so that we can make videos for them and so that we can make visuals. It's just, and I think a lot of listeners, they will find you different ways. So some people, they might hear that song on the radio that's like, oh, I need to know what band this is. But then there's also those people who they go crate digging in the record shop. I've definitely purchased a record before just because the artwork was so cool. Like the record itself was dope. And so I feel like for us, it's equally as important.
When Zain was talking about that idea of like how they have to be able to hop in at any moment.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh my God, I can't even imagine that, because when we write pop songs, you have to start at the beginning, you hook them, and then you build, and then you bridge, and you remind them of melodies, and it's a different format. But in some way, what you're talking about is like all of us as artists, we're trying to reach people, and you never know where you're going to hit them. So they may run into it when they're crate digging, they may see it on a 8-second TikTok, they may see it on whatever. And the idea of being able to create all of that through one kind of laser point, which is us. I think it kind of, if you see a visual you enjoy of us, it may be the thing that gets your attention, and it kind of makes it easier than having, like a team. There's collaboration is amazing, and collaborating with amazing talented groups is amazing, but there's something cool about the fact that our only brand standard is like, do we think it's cool? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, oh, well, it's a past cool, get your gut check. Dope, it's cool, we like it, and then that's it. You know what I mean?
So then if somebody else likes it, they probably
will like the other stuff. Like they won't fall in love with the visuals and then hate the music, or vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds like a nice kind of ecosystem, almost the way you're explaining it, where you're hitting these different target audiences in different ways. Some may be interested and invested in crate digging. Some might just want to turn on the radio and consume the music that way. Or maybe they're just visual as well, and they have to see it firsthand in order to take that music in. And also just what you were talking about with TikTok and kind of the younger generation as well, and tapping into that audience. So I love that you're really just aware of how different types of audiences are consuming the music itself and making it enjoyable in all of these different ways. And of course, having something tangible. I feel like it's crazy to see cassettes are coming back, CDs are coming back.
We made mini discs.
Oh my gosh, you have mini discs too.
We printed mini discs, and we printed tapes, and we printed CDs, and we printed it. Yeah, it is very weird, because it's like all these different ways you have to reach people. I've had friends of mine that are my age, like message me and they're like, I was showing my kids your music and they said that's a TikTok song, Mom. And they only knew seven seconds of the song. And I'm like, we spent all this time writing all this stuff and all they know is that one part that was in a Dixie D'Amelio did it. And it was like, what the heck? But it's like, there's a whole song. But that's where you got to hope that will hook them and hopefully will keep them around to go and research more. I'm sure that every artist here is experiencing the same kind of stuff as the world is always changing. You're trying to find a reason to hook them. And I like the idea of thinking of Zain's metaphor. Like, that's crazy. That's like the most extreme version of that I can imagine, is being able to tell the story that they have to be able to hop in anywhere and still be able to get hooked. I like that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Lucy and Toby, I would love to hear your perspective on this question as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because obviously our kind of album is a musical theatre album, and so it kind of almost works in reverse. Like we wrote the whole thing, and the whole thing is designed with this like live stage show experience in mind, and specifically not just the kind of visuals. It's like that singular moment, the feeling of being in the room, and it kind of being different every night. And so in some ways, kind of getting to make the album, I feel like feels like a bit of a sort of a treat for us as theatre girlies, because usually it's like something amazing happens and you never see it again. You know, it was like, oh, they got it, it was amazing, and then it never happens again. But like, it's really awesome to be able to sort of preserve it. But I kind of think that the challenge of a musical theatre album is to, and the kind of part of the fun challenge of this album was to sort of almost like preserve it as like what feels like a footprint of the live show. So when you listen to it, you get a sort of feeling of what the shape of the story would have been, because, you know, it's like, it's not like something like Les Mis where it's sung through. It's like songs and then scenes and then songs. So actually you get like a feel for the story, but you don't get every single detail. But equally, it's like trying to get the sort of the impression of what the staging might have been. So like we have a number that's like an old Hollywood kind of jazz standard, and it's sort of like the visuals were like the lead character Oliver, or one of the leads, in a sort of like a pink Marilyn Monroe kind of reference sort of dress, and it's kind of like trying to give that sort of like that flavor sonically. And similarly, like there's another number which was called See You Never, which is the song in the musical is set in a brunch restaurant, and it's basically like a good friend of the kind of main duo being like, all right, you've got a problem, you need to text this guy and tell him to literally leave you alone, see you never. And it becomes this big tap dancing number. And so part of the challenge was, and it's the tap dancing kind of replaces the texting sounds visually, so it's this sort of game that you play visually and trying to kind of like bring that feeling. And our engineer and co-producer Sam did this really amazing, like he was like, I don't know how to make tap dancing audio sound like neat and clicky like it works in the theater, but how do we do it here? And he like, what was it, he was doing a thing with like, what's it called, like gates, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about real actually.
Yeah.
But it was like he like made this whole system as to how to like get it sounding really kind of clipped, and that was really awesome.
It's so cool. And it was funny, doing this kind of like writing the songs originally, knowing they were going to have this like visual counterpart, and then like realizing the visual counterpart, and then like going back to just like the songs. But I guess it's like funny with a musical theatre album, because like it's like half of what the whole thing is. You know, there's this like visual element to like and these gaps between the songs of like any album that you listen to, which is, and I think it's like, at least like what I enjoy about that as a kind of like audio experience. I mean, like I feel like for the majority of my childhood was I spent so much time listening to like musical theatre albums for shows that like I hadn't seen yet and wouldn't see for like years to come, when I would go on a trip to London to like go and see Cats or something. Do you know what I mean? And so like I think, but like part of the joy I had of that was like, when I'm listening to it, I know that like every one of these numbers is staged in some kind of way, and the kind of like imagination element of that, of like trying to like imagine how they would bring that to life, and then you go and see it live, or you watch a bootleg on YouTube.
No, we don't do that.
And then being like, oh my god, like they do. Oh my god, I could never have imagined that a car came in at that point, or being like, wow, my staging was way better. And so it's like there's like a, you know, and I hope that like,
yeah, it's like
that's like an experience, like, because also like the album is so like, I guess like a bit like is what it sounds like yours is, Bettina, as well, is that there's so many like different like genres going on, and there's so much like pastiche of different things, and like, and it's a very like it's like a chaotic sonic experience, but which hopefully feels cohesive. But I like the idea that people will listen to it that haven't seen the show, haven't seen any visuals from the show, and will kind of like create this like staging in their mind of what they instinctively feel like it should be. And
yeah, it's fun. It's fun to make an album that sort of like inherently involves imagination from the listener.
Yeah.
Because it's never going to be just about like the sound. It's always going to be like a story and a context, and I think that's really.
Yeah, I think it was just the sound like going on in your head. If like a couple of these songs, you'd be like, wait, why is there a B in their flat? What's this song about?
I think that's still a valid argument
Yeah.
for anyone who's seen the musical, actually.
Do you know what? That's true. That is actually very, very true. There's a song
I
about
love that.
it.
I actually just saw a Broadway show this past week for my birthday, Death Becomes Her, and watching it was so good. Oh my gosh, I was absolutely obsessed with it. And whenever I think of Broadway and musicals, it's almost like it's a stronger, more potent type of feeling that you're having in the experience and on a heightened level. And so I love how stories and music are just intertwined in a different way. Because I watched the film first just to kind of recap, because I haven't seen it since the 90s. And I mean, it was just incredible to see them redo the entirety of it musically. And so, kudos to Lucy and Toby for what you do, because I don't even know that I have that imagination to be able to put that musically into a scripted piece. But I just love your perspective on everything that you do. I think it's just wonderful. I'd love to now jump into a question for Bettina. Bettina, I know that children's music often resonates with both adults and children. It's kind of a teeter-totter effect, I feel like, as well. How do you balance everything musically and lyrically to really be shared with both audiences, young and older?
I'm glad you asked that, because that was one of the intentions of the album, was to create something that you could go on like a family vacation, on a road trip, get everybody in the car of all ages. You got your 3-year-old and your 15-year-old and you have the siblings in between and the parents, and be able to put on something that everybody can enjoy. There's something for everyone. And yeah, that was a challenge. And it was something that really began with strong songwriting. You've got to be able to have a song that can just stand on its own with just the guitar or the piano, whichever you start on, and the lyrics, and is well crafted and has a good hook and can pull someone in and they can walk away and they're still singing it. That was the goal, was to just start with strong songs and then from there become sonically diverse. But the messaging was important. The crafting of the songs, the structures of the songs was very important. And I think that was part of why the collaboration with Automatic was so important, because, I'm sure you guys are probably familiar. Like, he's worked with, some of the hugest heavy hitters in the business. But what mattered to him was drilling down and staying authentic to the purpose of the album. So that's what we did. And as each one grew and each one morphed into its own sound, they all still maintained that artistic integrity of the actual core song. And that was super important. And I feel like that's one of those things that was hardest to achieve, but I feel like we really kind of got there. And it was quite the journey to get there.
It's a hard balance to maintain, but it sounds like you've done it wonderfully. Zain, I would love to kind of go back into what we were talking about, I guess, a little bit before, of your experience in, being boots on the ground, going to the theme parks and really getting an understanding of what you needed to know before kind of creating your music for the theme parks. What is your approach in comparison to creating and composing music for TV or film and other genres versus your approach you took for the parks?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say that they're actually more alike than they are different. And I was just in LA for all these Grammy events, and people were like, "What do you do? Are you a film composer?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I just did music for a ride, so I guess I'm a ride composer." And then they're like, "But we saw your musical," and so then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'm a musical producer too." So then what I've decided is really I'm just a storyteller, and all we're doing is just telling people's a story and transporting them, and you're doing that with video games, with film, with TV, and with the rides. So again, I go back to the whole idea of, if you have a theme, a central focus, and it's powerful enough, it can really hold everything together. So, my goal was, when people go to this ride, that they're there for a while. Obviously, they're going to be at Disney. They're going to stand in line for a minute, and they're going to hear these themes, and hopefully it becomes something that, not they don't just associate with the ride, but they associate with this beautiful moment in their life where they took a break from the crazy world out there, and they're at Disney World, and they had the best time, and they're with their family, and they're screaming and yelling, and that is definitely the focus, and that's the focus of film and TV and anything I really do, is just giving something memorable. So that's why it's exciting. We had amazing musicians, and we were able to also, submit that to the Grammys, because their performances are so outstanding, and it's something that definitely resonates with you. It's like an earworm. You can't escape it. You can't leave it, and hopefully you'll be humming it long after you leave the park.
Very intriguing. Well, next time I'm at the park and I'm listening to your music and waiting for, hopefully not an hour to 2 hours.
Could be.
I'm gonna hum and sing your music back to you, Zain.
All right, I'm counting on it.
I love the title too, Ride Composer. You should run with that. That's very unique and different.
Yeah, for now I'm the ride composer, but I'm also writing a book. That's why I'm in the library, because I guess I'm a storyteller most of all.
I love it. Well, it looks like that's all of the time that we have for today. I just want to thank each of you so much for sharing your wonderful insights into your projects that you have, and I'll go and just state everyone's name again: Bettina, Zain, Lucy, Toby, as well as Katianne and Khaled. I just want to wish each of you as well good luck for this upcoming Grammy season. A huge thank you to Impact 24 PR for putting this panel together, as well as all of you. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. We will see you all next time. Thank you.